Hi, my name is Katie Cartier, and today I'm going to be talking about the differences between Eastern and Western robots. More specifically, I'm going to be talking about the differences in Japanese and American robots and as they depict differences in ideals of Eastern and Western cultures. So first, we have to answer what is a robot. When most people think of robots, they think of R2-D2 from Star Wars or the Transformers. But there are many different types of robots beyond just the famous ones. A robot is defined as a machine that resembles a living creature in being capable of moving independently and performing complex tasks. And with a definition that broad, robots can be perceived in many different ways. And these different perceptions depend on where in the world you are. So today we're going to be using Japanese robots to depict Eastern cultures and American robots to depict Western cultures, and these are some differences between their robots. So first, Japanese robots are made to look friendly and welcoming. They do this by giving them faces, they're often smiling, and they just look like something you would like to interact with. And the goal for robots in Japan are for them to coexist with humans, for them to seamlessly connect in their society. And Japanese robots are often used for entertainment and they look very human like. So the robots will often complete little tasks that people find entertaining or cute, and that's just their goal for the robot. And in movies, Japanese robots work with humans instead of against them, and this is shown in Cyborg She, which I will discuss in a couple slides. And for the American robots, they are perceived as replacements for human labor. This is shown in farming and factories. And there's always a very distinct line between man and robot. Like, nobody would look at a farming robot and consider it part of our society. Like, there's a disconnect there between robot and man. And robots are portrayed as evil and a threat to humanity in movies. This is portrayed in The Terminator, which I will discuss in a couple slides as well. And generally, American robots do not look very human at all. And robots often have very different appearances as well. So here are some visual differences you can see between the robots. The Japanese robots are shown on the left, and American robots are shown on the right. So starting with the Japanese robots, and this one in the top left corner, this robot right here is a nursing robot. It's a robot that does the prerequisite work before a doctor comes in to treat a patient. It just helps their healthcare system move a little bit faster and having someone to complete that task for them. This robot right here, I'm not sure exactly what task it completes, but it has a smile on its face and it probably does some type of little entertaining task to entertain people, and he just looks very welcoming and happy. And this robot right here, this is a depiction of Astro Boy, which is a famous robot, and he was made by Honda, and he has a hand which makes him look very human-like, and he looks like a human with a space helmet on. And all of these robots, they look pretty human. I mean, while this one is a bear, it still has a very welcoming face on it, and they all don't look very threatening at all. And for the American robots on the other half, they all look very industrial and threatening. So this robot right here, this is actually a fighting robot. It kind of looks like a transformer. It has guns to fight other robots, and it looks very industrial and mechanical, and it just looks very threatening and scary. This robot right here, while it is less industrial looking, it still looks inhuman. It is a scanning robot which works inside of Walmart, and its main goal is to scan the barcodes of every single item and keep track of how many there are so that humans don't have to physically go around and do inventory. It just does it for them, which is taking the place of human labor. And by the same token, these robots down here, they are robots that are assembling something in a factory, and their main purpose is to take the jobs that humans were doing and do them so that humans can do other jobs and get the overall job done faster. And once again, they all just look very industrial and overall pretty scary. All right. Now we are going to discuss two famous robot movies, The Terminator and Cyborg She. These movies both follow a human-looking cyborg who is placed on Earth to complete a certain goal or task. The Terminator is an American film that depicts Western attitudes towards robots, while Cyborg She is a Japanese movie that depicts Eastern attitudes towards robots. While these movies have very similar premises, they show very, very different depictions of robots and cyborgs. So first, The Terminator, which is an American film. The Terminator, shown right here, is the protagonist in this movie. He is placed on Earth with one task: to kill Sarah Connor. This is a very violent goal. He also kills many other people who get in his way with little remorse for their death. This is seen in an alley scene where he kills 3 men who were simply walking past him just because he wants to, and he kills 3 innocent people. He is overall a threat to humanity and a danger to society. Also, a point to be noted is that while the Terminator appears very human, he has many inhuman features. An example of this is shown in this picture right here. The Terminator had a part of his face blown off during the film, and it left a lot of exposed metal and gore. This adds an element of fear to his overall appearance and just makes him look scary and like he's not a human entity. And next is Cyborg She. Cyborg She is a Japanese film. The cyborg in this film is a female, and she is shown on the left here. She is very friendly and non-violent. When she arrives on Earth, her goal is to make friends. She meets her boyfriend, who is shown on her right here. And he is the second protagonist in this film. The cyborg doesn't kill people at all, even when she is threatened. In the film, there is a scene where the cyborg is harassed in an alley by several men, and she just uses self-defense to protect herself and get away. She doesn't actually kill them. She protects her boyfriend in similar ways throughout the film without killing ever. Like the Terminator, she looks very human, but she looks far more human than the Terminator ever does. She has a lot more human mannerisms to her. She tries to learn humor and tries to blend in more with human society. And she also appears more human when she is injured. In the film, there is a scene where she is hit by a semi, and she has a very real looking cut on her face that bleeds as if it would if she were a human. This makes her seem less scary and dangerous and just gives her a human sense to her. She is not a threat to humanity, and she overall just wants to fit in with humans in the film. So, how is American culture portrayed based on their robots? So, in American culture, robots are seen as machinery rather than companions. They are seen as something to do a task for humans rather than help humans do a task. They have all been built to complete a specific purpose, such as a farming robot or a robot that works in a factory. Western cultures are obsessed with maximizing efficiency, and Western cultures do not work to make robots a part of their society, as they are just seen as an aid to mankind. Like nobody would ever consider a farming robot to be a part of society, or they just wouldn't do that. Also, some robots are used to emphasize strength and superiority. They do this by making the robot very threatening and giving him big guns. This was shown in this robot right here, who is also a fighting robot that was created it for a Western movie, I believe. And how Japanese culture is portrayed based on their robots. So, in Japanese culture, robots are viewed as their nation's salvation and rebirth after World War II. They work to build robots to help take care of their people and even help in emergency situations. Like this robot on the right here, it is a search and rescue robot, which is sent in, like if a house collapses, it is sent in to pull people out when it is unsafe for other humans to go in. So it is aiding people rather than doing their job for them, because the search and rescue people still have to do their job. They just have a robot to aid them and protect them. And this shows their affinity for honoring elders, because they create robots to do little tasks for them and help their elders live by themselves in their home for as long as they can. Like this robot right here, it has a little arm that can grab stuff and help people reach stuff that's too tall for them or help them perform little tasks that they're no longer physically able to do, helping their elders remain independent for much longer. Also, Japanese robots focus on working with humans rather than against them, such as with the searching robot, where it is working to help the search and rescue people rather than doing their job for them. And even when Eastern robots are built for service, they're often not as effective as there's not a huge demand for this type of robot in this culture. This is because this culture isn't as obsessed with maximizing efficiency as Western cultures are, so there's not really a need for that type of robot. So to conclude, Western robots depict manufacturing-driven society and generally have some fear associated with them as a concept. This is shown in the Terminator, as people are afraid of the robot and afraid of the things he can do. And Eastern robots depict a friendly and family-oriented society that is focused on helping their people rather than just doing labor for them. And there's generally no fear associated with them, as most robots in their culture are friendly. All right, so I would just like to thank you for this great semester, and I hope I'm able to take more courses with you in the future, and have a great day. Thank you.